Hello. So I'm here. I'm just waiting for a few minutes for other people to join in. Then we'll start today's task.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Great. So, madam, my mouse is not working today, so I'm just trying to manage without that. Yeah. Okay. So, we'll continue today from last week's discussion. So, first of all, like last week, because I left it at, you know, 1.5 hour mark. I didn't finish the whole session. So, is there anything else you wanted me to discuss from week 4 or explain anything? We'll also discuss the assignment. I think the week 4 assignment is now past the due date, right? So we can discuss that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So anything you want to ask from week 4 assignment?
I was wondering, uh, like it's almost mostly cradle to something. When will be an example which is like starting from gate to something, like gate to grave, gate to gate? When will it start from a gate? Because any material that you think
Hmm.
of will be a raw material.
Okay.
So, how to distinguish that?
So that's a good question. So the reason why you don't see too many examples of gate like to gate or gate to grave or gate to cradle is because that part of the cycle usually involves the usage of a product. Gate is the factory gate. So when the product is finished and ready to ship, that in minus the transportation, that is when it is considered to be at the gate. Did you get a chance to see the handouts I shared in the shared folder last week? Did you check those? Because I had uploaded the updated handout with that the whole diagram of cradle to grave. It's okay if you've not seen it, just tell me that you have not. I'll just share it and explain it.
I don't know where is it shared actually.
So, see, the thing is that on the NPTEL portal, they have made a slight mistake. Instead of putting it as, every week's content, live session and lecture and handouts, they have put it as July live session recording as a link on the portal, on the Swayam portal. But it's not just the July session, it just takes you to the link of the spreadsheet where I'm uploading the links for every week's live interaction video and the shared handouts and everything. So you guys have not seen those at all?
No, ma'am.
We just figured it out
Oh,
today.
oh, that's very sad
We
because
can see only YouTube link.
no, there is a link in that. Wait, I'll share
Yes,
that
ma'am. Now we
spreadsheet
can
with
see.
you.
Yes, miss.
So in this, I'm just sharing the spreadsheet link in your my mouse is not working. So I'll just put the link on chat so everybody can please open it and check it right now if you're able to access it. So just please bookmark this spreadsheet. You can save it in your Google Drive or something. This is the place where I upload. So this folder presentation folder is there, right? It's the main folder for this whole course. So in this folder, I upload materials for every week's content as we progress further and further. So you have content up till week 4. Week 5, I will upload after the class. I'll include the class notes also in this. So please check this folder regularly because this is only where I'm uploading everything. So, it will be helpful to you. So anyway, coming back to my original question. So you guys have not seen the handout which I had uploaded last week after the class
No, ma'am.
because I couldn't get enough time to discuss it in the class. So I had just uploaded it in the folder. Okay, let me share it now. Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is the cradle to grave analysis. Wait, okay, let's look at it here. So this is a general diagram of any cradle to grave life cycle, and it breaks it up into different parts. So if you see the first box, it's moving from left to right: procurement of raw materials, preparation of raw materials, manufacture components, assembly of components, manufacture of main parts, and final assembly. So after this arrow is where comes the gate, basically, right? So this is where if you do cradle to gate analysis, it will end over here after this particular box. After that, everything else, which is transport for sale, then sale to user, usage by user, end of life, all this is, if you want to include all this, you have to do a cradle to grave analysis. Okay, so far so good.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now I was discussing this last time. The example of, say, a ceramic mug, a simple ceramic mug. You do an LCA for a simple mug, and say suppose after the mug breaks, if we are upcycling the raw material left, not the raw material, I mean the broken material left, to make something else, say some other material for making another thing, or we kind of use it as a showpiece or as a planter, whatever, we may use it for something else. So you are all asking me, right, that how is it to be included, how do we account for it? So I went back and checked, and what I had answered in the class was only correct, that this the whole upcycling part will not be included in this particular product's uh, cradle to grave analysis, because that goes into the life cycle of the next product which you're making after the mug. So here, if you see, this is the entire diagram for the mug. This is especially for the mug. So from the left, if you see the blue boxes, from up to down, so first step is procurement of raw materials, then preparation of raw material like the clay basically. Then you mold the clay into the mug. Then you finish it, you may want to paint it or you may want to add something to it. Then when it's finished, you fire dry it in the kiln. Once it's dried and cooled down, you glaze the mug. Then you leave that for drying after glazing. Then you package it for shipping. And this is where cradle to gate ends. Once you've packaged it for shipping, it's ready to ship. That is cradle to gate. So if you do the life cycle analysis for any product from cradle to gate, the whole thing ends with when the product is ready to ship. So cradle to gate is used in places where you only want to see the environmental impact or footprint of any product only during its manufacturing phase, like before the whole phase of sale to the user and usage by the user. If you don't want to include it, you want to compare, say, suppose 5 different types of mugs, assuming that, like, in some products, the usage part may be very similar for different products, right? So whether I use a ceramic mug or whether I use a metal mug or whether I use an enamel mug, my usage is more or less the same, say suppose, right? Like mostly it will be the same for most people. It's not anything special that I'm doing with a ceramic mug, which I'm not doing with an enamel. I'm just drinking tea in all the mugs, right? So if you don't think there is a huge difference in the usage between, say, one product and another, and then if there's not much usage difference, then most of the difference is coming from where? It's coming from the manufacturing part of the products, right? So then in that case, just to save on time and to save on your resources, energy, everything, you may want to only do a cradle to gate analysis for all the 5 products you want to compare. And then you want to see whether, which one is more better in environmental terms. And then you pick the product, whichever is the most environmentally efficient, based on the cradle to gate analysis alone. This is why you see examples of cradle to gate analysis. Now your question is, why aren't we seeing examples of gate to grave or gate to cradle? It's not that you don't do that. Many people do that, but it's not that common, because generally you will want to see it for either the entire life cycle or the life cycle up till sale of the product. It's kind of a bit uncommon to do an analysis only from sale and usage to end of life for any product, because that's usually I'm not saying that that's not a problematic part. It is for some products, manufacturing may be very similar. One minute, my audio is okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it's showing some issue with the audio. All right, so so that is why you don't see that many examples of gate to grave or gate to cradle or something. But if you were to do a gate to grave analysis, then what you will include is this last column in the diagram which I have shared. From here, transportation to the seller. Say, suppose you're buying the thing on Amazon or something. Then the person who has manufactured it will first send it to maybe the Amazon warehouse or something like that. Then transportation to the buyer. So if you take the example of Amazon, then from the Amazon warehouse, the package is going to be shipped to the buyer. And then you include all the usage by the user. Then at some point of time, the mug breaks or it, something else goes wrong with it. And then that's the end of life. So once the mug breaks and the product is kind of ruined, it cannot be used in the same way anymore. That is defined as the end of life for a product. And that is the grave. That marks the grave, basically. So anything that you do with the product after that cannot be included in cradle to grave analysis. If you do cradle to cradle analysis, then you will include that part. So that was the main conclusion from our discussion last week, that if you want to include the benefits of recycling or upcycling or something like that, cradle to grave will not capture those benefits. You need to switch to cradle analysis, basically. So does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Thanks.
great. So please do go through all the materials which I have uploaded in that folder, because I have uploaded the handouts and stuff like that. So
Ma'am, in the last week assignment, there is a question about LED bulb and the teak, the table, which is
okay,
the most eco cost. But in the calculation, in using the software, we couldn't find one element. It was shown in the shown in that question. The acrylic varnish. Yeah.
just 1 minute. Let me open the question. Which question is this? Question number?
8.
Second last.
Okay,
Eighth
question
one.
number 8. All right. Have a lower eco cost per piece. Okay, what's your question?
My question is actually like we try to put all the values, the peak, it is the hours and everything. Let me take in the software also. 1 second, ma'am. Yeah, so it's a teak, how many kgs we put, and the process side we put the power sewing, and it has mentioned the varnish, acrylic varnish, that we couldn't find it. And instead of that, I have put solvent based paint transparent. And also in the use phase, also I have added. So I got somehow a very little difference between LED and the table. The table is higher and LED become lower, but the answer is other way around. So, so I just need to understand where I made the mistake.
Okay, so I will have to solve this question because I've not solved it myself. So I can't answer offhand like that. So, okay, I will go through the question and like maybe we can discuss it in the next class.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
I
Is that
have
okay?
solved it using water-based transparent paint. When I put that, like the image of that is showing as the image of varnish. So imagining the like going with the image, when I put it, it came really low. So it was going with this answer. but we are not sure. Like first I had
Okay,
put
can you
FTE.
just share your assignment, whatever you have done with me, so I can go through it and I can find out where, if at all, you're making a mistake or if it is correct. Because I need to, I mean, I don't understand it verbally like that. So it's just better if you share it with me. You can email it to me.
Okay, ma'am, we'll send the
So
screen.
I've just put my email on the chat. So I need to see your working basically. Right? And I will also solve the question myself. And I can compare what I got with what you guys have done. And we can discuss that part in the class. Okay, so
Hello.
can you, yeah,
So, ma'am, I actually also had a doubt with the assignment. In the scenario
yeah.
C, does this question mentioned that we had to
No,
solve
wait,
on the
which
app?
question and which scenario? Which question
Scenario
is this?
question number 6. It's mentioned as scenario C.
Question number 6. Okay, hang on. Let me read the question first.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, ma'am, so in this part, so I couldn't figure out what is this expandable polystyrene. I mean, I couldn't figure it out in the app. So I just wanted to share if you or anyone else who had solved it can help me out with it, because I got the answer wrong because of that.
It is
PS, PS if we find, we'll get it as expandable. And the other one is PP. So we just need to find out PS and PP.
yeah, this
TS.
is polypropylene.
Yeah.
No? So it will, sorry, what is your question again? Hang on, I didn't understand your question.
Actually, I couldn't figure
Expandable
out.
polystyrene is the last
Yeah.
part and the polypropylene is the first part,
So
right?
I could find out the first part,
Okay.
which was
You're saying that the last part is what you have a problem with.
yeah, I couldn't
Expandable
figure out.
polystyrene.
Yeah,
Okay.
expandable polystyrene. I couldn't figure out where it is in the app while calculating it.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
couldn't input the data correctly, and I got the answer wrong. So I just wanted to know where is it located.
Okay. So somebody answered you, I think.
Yeah.
Is that fine?
PP and
PP and
PS.
Yes.
TS. Okay.
Polystyrene. So I think that is why it will be PS.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else in assignment 4?
I mean that scenario 1.
Wait,
It is
which
the
question? In the same question? Which question are you referring to?
in scenario 1. I'm referring to third one.
No,
Third
please tell
one.
me the question number first. Don't tell me scenario 1 and 2 because all questions have scenarios. So which
Yes,
question are you referring to?
third one. Third one.
Question 3. Okay. Yes.
As per my understanding, we are talking about glasses, which is made up of disposable plastics, and we are giving out to the guest because that is more logical with the options provided. If that is the case, what happens in the end? Like after the glass is used, are we recycling it?
Okay, hang on. Let me just read the question once again. Most suitable system boundary they're asking for scenario A. It's okay. Continue. Sorry, my cat is concerned. Okay. Yes. So what is your question? Can you sorry
How is
repeat the
the
question?
I'm considering the if I am considering the glass, what plastic glasses to be distributed.
Plastic glasses, plastic cups. This option B you're saying.
Yes, ma'am.
Which they
Option
fill
A.
from a 25-liter packaged water canister. And then
Yes, ma'am.
underneath
Option
the
B. Option
canisters.
B.
Yes,
If
option B. Okay.
if I am considering that stage, what
Yes.
is happening to that glass after it is being used?
Then you assume it is being thrown because the thing has been mentioned and they say disposable plastic cups, right? So disposable means you're disposing it after that, after use. if it
So-
were recyclable, it would have mentioned provided recyclable plastic cups, but it says disposable. So disposable means you're throwing it.
Then what will be the system boundary for that glass? Are
See,
we
they're not
considering
asking you the
glass?
system boundary for any particular glass. They're asking you the system boundary for that particular scenario given the three options you have. These are the three options you have. Then in what way, what simplest way can you capture the differential impact of all these three options with which system boundary? That's the question. The question is not key in scenario A, what will you use in option, sorry, in option A, what will you use in option? You're using the same system boundary for all the three options. You understand? If you're comparing, that's why I was explaining it to you last time why we were using a functional unit. Because if you're comparing, if you want to compare 3 or 4 or whatever number of options for solving some problem or using some sort of giving some sort of a design solution, then you have to use the same system boundary. You can't do apples and oranges type of a comparison. So what you're asking is for one particular option, but the question is not talking about one particular option. The question is for scenario A, which is this scenario in which you're having a party with 200 guests and you're giving 150 ml of water to the guests. So then in this case, you have to understand that you're giving 150 ml is your functional unit in this particular scenario. And in this thing, since you're anyways not doing anything which is sort of, recyclable, everything is kind of, like cradle to grave. There is no component of recycling in this, right? So that cradle to grave is the most simple and the easiest option to capture the difference between the three options. Did you understand what I said?
Yes, ma'am. But why is it grave? Because we
What
are
would you
not.
rather it were?
It can't be cradle. Okay. Like can't
Sorry.
we recycle? It's not the question based. My thing is, imagine a scenario where we are thinking only of the glass. If that is a scenario, can't we do something with the plastic glass, or does it has to be disposed? Like, can't we?
So you are not being asked to design the solution. You are told you already have these three options. You only have to tell them which method will you use to compare between these three options to decide which is the best out of these three. There are 1,000 things you can do with the plastic glass, but that is not the question. That is why I repeat every time in the class that read the question properly first. You're answering a different question. That is not the question which is being asked. The question is given to you that these are the three options. You cannot come up with some other radical solution for the problem. That's not asked in the question. You understand?
Ma'am, that is my doubt. I'm not trying to answer a question. My doubt is,
Okay.
can something be done? Is my
So
doubt.
that you can of course do. You can anyways do many things to improve the plastic glasses, and many people have done that. That is a moot point because you can always do something to improve a product. In this case, it is given as disposable. If it is not given as disposable, you can do something to, you can make it out of recyclable plastic to begin with. And then you can, because you can't recycle just any plastic. If you could recycle just any plastic, we wouldn't have such a big landfill problem, right? Not all plastics can be recycled. It has to be a particular type of plastic which has been made, designed, manufactured with the explicit function in mind that it should be able to get recycled at the end of its life. Only that plastic can be recycled. So if you use that particular kind of plastic and you design the cups to make it recyclable, yes, you can of course do that.
Okay,
One doubt. What is the difference between the question number 3 and question number 5? Like both are different scenarios. Scenario A and scenario B. The answer of both are cradle to grave. Because I made a mistake in the question number 5 is correct, but in the question number 3, I made a mistake. I put it gate to grave. Because I thought because it's more people, 200 people, so it might be the most usable area. The system boundary will be. I have to calculate from gate to gate. So what is where I made the mistake, like how to think in this kind of question.
So you are, what is your exact doubt?
My doubt is both are cradle to grave, the answers.
Okay.
Right answers are cradle to grave. So is there is any kind of difference will happen, the number of people or number of users are big, so that
The number of users doesn't count at all in that analysis.
okay.
You're not looking at the number of users. You're looking at, that's why you people have not understood the concept of functional unit, I think, till now. That is, system boundary and functional unit are both very closely related, and they are, the whole philosophy of it is so that you know how to compare different scenarios. So you are mixing up a whole lot of things in when you're comparing. That's the
Yeah.
problem. See, in
In
this, it's very clearly written. Hang on. It's very clearly written in scenario B. Each employee consumes an average of 2 liters of water daily. I want to analyze the least environmentally damaging way of providing water to my employees. The options that I have are provide water to all using disposable 1 liter packaged water bottles. You will need 2 bottles. Provide disposable plastic cups, which the employees can fill from a
functional
whatever
unit is
canister.
2 liter. Yeah.
You can take 2 liter or 1 liter, both are okay. That is you can take it has to be a certain unit of water, is what I mean to say. You can take it as 2 liter, or you can even take it as 1 liter. It's one and the same thing. But whatever you take, you have to take the same unit for each scenario, each option. Are you getting it? So whether
Yeah.
you consider it as 1 liter or 2 liter, let's assume we go with 1 liter for now. Then you're using that in all the 3 options. Then provide steel glasses which the guest can fill. I will need 4 canisters, 2 glasses, and a person plus infrastructure to keep the washing, to keep washing the glasses once in a. Okay, there's a spelling mistake here. It's a once, not once. Once in a while. Okay, so
And in the lecture, ma'am, in the lecture, there is a coffee machine, it is mentioning. Like when a coffee machine coming from Thailand and it is in a restaurant, it is making 500 number of coffees per day. If it is in a house, it might be making five number of coffee. So in that case, I was thinking that and then put the answer into gate to grade. That's why went wrong.
no, but in that case, see here it is a difference between office having 50 employees and party having 200 guests. There is a huge difference because there the scenario is completely different. You're using such a big coffee machine. There the main issue is with the usage of the coffee machine. You're using the coffee machine. Is it better utilized in a home, or is it better utilized in a place where a lot of people are using it? Because you're using a lot of energy also in running the coffee machine, right?
Yeah.
So energy per
Yeah.
head in that case there's a huge difference. And in this case, you're again comparing scenario A and scenario B. You're not supposed to compare scenario A and scenario B. You have to look, the things you guys are comparing are wrong. I told you that the number of users doesn't matter because in each case you have to consider the options for each. You're comparing the wrong things. Hang on, let me connect my other iPad. 1 minute. Why are you comparing the 2 different questions is the point. You are comparing the wrong things with the wrong. You have to compare different options within the same question. You can't compare the answer of one question with the answer of another question like that. Um,
No, I just made the mistake because I was thinking these two scenarios about the coffee machine and made it
no, see, in the
understand.
coffee machine, there are two options for the same problem. You understand?
Yes, yes.
Here, it is not the same scenario. In the coffee machine, there are two different options. Like the confusion is because in this, I'm having a hard time explaining because in this scenario is also A and B and options are also A and B. So I don't know how to answer your question. But in scenario A and scenario B are two very similar sounding but two distinct scenarios, right? One is a party, one is an office space. In each case, you have a certain number of users. Now the things which you need to compare to decide what is more sustainable are the option A, option B, option C in each scenario. In the coffee machine case, the option A and option B itself is your house versus a company office. Are you understanding?
Okay, yeah, got it.
Yeah, so what you're trying to do in scenario A and scenario B is you're comparing two different questions. You're not comparing the the right things together. You come again and again comparing apples to oranges. In the coffee machine scenario, the question itself says that, in option one is that you are using this coffee machine for making 5 cups of coffee per day in a house. Option two is that you're making this thing for 200 users in an office space or whatever number of cups of coffee per day in an office space. You are comparing those are two different options for the same thing, the same product or the same requirement. in in this assignment, you are comparing two different scenarios which are not the same requirement. The requirements are different, right?
Yes, no.
You are unnecessarily confusing yourself, actually. That's the problem. Okay, so let me just try and explain this once again. Foucault, no. So say suppose you have coffee machine scenario here, and in this the options are your house, 5 cups per day. And in this, the other option is, say, suppose office or a cafe, and you have 200 cups per day, right? See, don't try to find the correct answer by comparing questions. That is the wrong approach. That's all I'm trying to tell you. Just because two questions have the same answer doesn't mean anything, right? You have to evaluate each question based on the information given, and you have to evaluate thinking about what is even asked in the question, what are the options given to you. I'm just trying to give you the basic system for how you should approach these type of questions. They're asking you a very simple question. In both the scenarios, first they're asking you which would be the most sustainable option out of the options given. Second question they're asking you is what is the right system boundary to use in the given scenario, right? Now, don't start comparing two different questions in your question paper. That will only confuse you. Don't do that because they are two very in each. That's the whole point of this class, actually, if you've been following since the beginning, that you cannot, compare apples and oranges. That is the whole reason why we've developed this reasoning of life cycle analysis, where we define the system boundary, we define the functional unit. Unless the system boundary and functional unit are exactly the same in two scenarios, you cannot compare them. That is what I tried to explain last time also, that is why it's so important to define the right functional unit, because without doing that, you are comparing two completely opposite things. Like you remember the carpet example, right? So in that same carpet example, if I don't take per year in the functional unit, then I'm going to get the wrong answer about which is more sustainable, right? Because the number of energy usage, if you just take, will be lesser for something which has a lesser life cycle itself. Which is why in these two cases, you have to look at the whole thing, all the specifics of the scenario and what are the options given to you. There will always be a scenario. This is like a scenario, you can call that. And these are the options. The second scenario, let's say if we take the questions given in the assignment, this is a party with 200 guests, right? And then you are given 3 options here. And the next scenario is an office with 50 people, right? In this, it's 200 guests and they're consuming how much? 250 ml or how much ml? Um, 150 ml of water. Per head, right? In this case, we have 2 liters of water per head, right? And then you have 3 options for fulfilling this requirement. If you are confused in any scenario or something, any question, please make a diagram and a table like this, right? But this is, you define the scenario. Now here it is clear to you, there are 200 guests and you're consuming 150 ml per head, right? Here you have 50 people, but they're consuming 2 liters per head. So is there a difference?
Yes.
Yes, right. I'm not telling you that, you're doing something like, I'm not telling you to feel discouraged. I'm just trying to help you understand in which way you should be thinking about these type of problems. Otherwise, you will mix up everything and you will get confused in the end. Now, it so happens that in this particular case that, the scenario given, the requirement given, system boundary comes out to be cradle to grave as the most, better one for both the scenarios. But just because some 5 scenarios have the same answer, cradle to grave, doesn't mean you can compare the scenarios themselves. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes, ma'am. In this case, what happened
Yes.
with me, like I was just thinking, both are water bottles and the options are almost same. Then the other one got more people. Then now I compared with that coffee
No, you're
mug.
trying to reverse engineer your answer, which is not how it works. You're working your way backwards. That is not going to work. That is, you're trying to take a shortcut to get at the answer. Don't ever do that. Because this is like the whole exam hacking type of thinking that ये ऐसे होगा तो वो वैसे होगा, if A equal to B, B equal to C, then A equal to C. That's what you're doing here.
Not like that. Not like that. Like because I put the scenario in the case of coffee machine, you said it is the coffee machine is the thing.
I understood
Here-
what you did. Now have you understood what I said?
Yeah, I understand.
You understood. Did you understand your mistake or not? You tell me your mistake. Don't tell me what you understood again, because I don't want you to confuse other people.
Yeah, I understood.
What is your mistake? Tell me. I want to
Because
make sure you have understood what I said also.
in the first scenario, it is in the party is the scenario, and the second scenario it is in the office. So that is the
Yeah, but what is the difference? What
in
did you
the
get
first-
wrong?
The first one, it is
What is first one? Don't tell first and second. Which one are you talking about?
200 guests. The 200 guests. The
Yes.
functional unit is 200 guests. 150 ml of per head of 200 guests. And the second one is 2 liters per head of 50 people. That is the
Right.
functional units. Both functional units are different and
Yes.
both different scenarios.
Yes, they're
And,
both different scenarios and they each have their own set of options to choose from.
Yeah.
Understood? The options for both are also different. They're not exactly the same options, right? They're different. That's the tricky part. That's why it's a tricky question and you should be careful. They have similar sounding options, but they are different because the requirement is different. In the coffee machine case, it is a very different scenario because the number of cups per day is different in the different options. You're comparing a different set of things. So, the question could be framed in any way. In a question, you could also be having something like, you have, say, a water dispenser. This could be a scenario. You have a water dispenser, it has 50 liters of water, right? What is the best way to dispense this water? Then you have option 1, 2, 3, right? So the question could be framed in any possible way, is what I'm trying to tell you. There could be something else, like in the carpet example, there can be a carpet which needs to be used for 30 years, right? And you have 3 options of product, service, systems, 4 options, whatever number of options. Carpet, which has, made of this material which lasts for 5 years. Then carpet, which has some other better materials, I suppose. It lasts for 10 years. Your carpet of something else. So then again, you're comparing different things. Understood? So whatever the scenario is versus what are the options given, you only look at that. You don't ever compare question 1 and question 2 because they might have the same answer. Understood?
Yeah.
Because if you just look at only the system boundary, or you look at only the final correct answer, it's going to be very confusing. And if you understand the whole logic of it, you can figure out what is the mistake or why you should or shouldn't compare. But I don't think you guys have understood it so well right now that you can do that. Until the point where you yourself can point out exactly what is different between one scenario and the other, don't compare questions. Okay, I'm just telling you that so that you can avoid making unnecessary silly mistakes. Now, in these 2 questions, which is there in your assignment, now if you look at this as just 150 ml per head and 2 liter per head, and then you compare the options, is that part like clear to you now?
That's fine.
Okay.
I got clear
Okay. Okay.
mistake I made. Yeah, because
right.
I just put the water bottle as the thing, water as
Yeah.
this instead of coffee, and then made all these confusions created. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any other question from the assignment?
I
Or
think the
is that it?
4 is fine, and week 5 few questions from the lecture, and in the week 4, ma'am, in one video I just won't forget, in that video it is mentioning the software comparing with 2 things, but it is not coming properly. Like we can see only one particular thing in the screen.
Can you tell me which video, which slide number, or at what?
It's
Have
in
you
the
guys gone through the
last
slides?
last week, the third video, last part.
The third video. I'm just trying to find this. Did you guys look at the lecture slides?
I just heard all the videos. I didn't look
No, then
the
look at the lecture slides also, because all this is given in you have the lecture slide which she's using in the videos. There's a link to the lecture slides in your portal.
It is there. Yeah.
Yeah, so go through the lecture slides also, because it will be helpful to go back and refer to the lecture slides if you're not able to, find something in the video or something like that. Now, if you can tell me in the lecture slides, I can answer better, because for the video, I'll have to go back and play the video and look at that. So I can, only just note it down. If it is in the slides, I can look at it now and maybe I can answer. Okay, so tell me what part in the video. Lecture,
One
the
minute,
third
ma'am, I'm
lecture.
checking. Just 1 second.
Okay.
Getting it in a hurry.
It's okay. Don't worry about that. Then, if you are not able to find it right now,
I'll
just
email it to you. I'll email
yeah,
it to you.
yeah. Please email it to me that what is the exact part and which question. So then I will just go over it and then I can answer it in the next class. And I can't answer it right now, but I will go over it and
It's
answer.
okay. It's only she's explaining about the software and how to do it, how to add values and that area, like whatever she is saying, it is not coming in the screen.
Right, right. That's what I'm saying, that I'll have to go through the part, what she's saying and what it should be if there is some mistake somewhere. Um,
I
so
will
then I'll be
email-
able
I'll
to,
email.
yeah, that's the thing. I'll have to go through the video and see that part. So that's why I can answer it only in the next class.
It is life cycle assessment, that software in that only.
Okay.
Like I don't know whether it is in the second video or in the third video. I have to check.
No, that's fine. You can check it and email it to me, then I can answer it in the next class. There's no point
Okay.
wasting more time on that right now because I can't answer it right now anyway. Okay, Dhaneshri, what are you asking? I didn't understand your question. What is a per determined product? Question 1, assignment 5.
What is a predetermined product? What is a predetermined product?
Okay, hang on. Yes, now you're in assignment 5.
Yes, sir. Once we
Okay.
are done with assignment 4, we can go to 5. I'm just putting it down.
No, assignment 5 is still due, right? The due date is not over yet.
Please
No,
mention
it's. I'm not asking the options.
the video.
I'm just
Okay.
understanding what is a predetermined product in the first place.
Which is this question?
First question.
First question, can I tell my understanding also?
A predetermined product
Yes.
involved in. Okay, yeah, what were you saying? Yes, go ahead. Somebody was saying something.
No, ma'am, you just carry.
Okay, a predetermined product is involved in. So, if I had to explain it, I'll have to answer. I'll give away the answer. It's there in the notes. So, if you go through the lecture slides, I think you should be able to find the answer.
It is there in the lecture also.
Yeah. It's there. I don't sit and watch the whole lecture because that is more time consuming. I mean, I do watch it, but not the whole thing word for word. But if you go through the lecture slides, I can tell you that it is there in the lecture slides.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so just go through. I don't know why you guys are not going through the slides. So when you are doing these exercises and assignment, it's just much more helpful to go through the slides because the written word, I don't think you can memorize everything based on just watching the video, unless you people are some geniuses.
Doing both, ma'am, like making the notes also, so it is fine.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying just making notes. I'm just saying that it's a lot of text sometimes. So it's just helpful if you look at the lecture slides because there everything is written verbatim, right? It's easier to find things if you're trying to look for answer to a particular question or something like that. It's just easier. It will be much easier for you if you go through the lecture slides. Sometimes the question is just taken directly from the lecture slides. Okay, so yeah, I'm seeing this. It's there in the lecture slides. You'll just have to search a little bit more. Okay.
I have went through the video. Maybe I missed this because
Yes, that's what I'm saying, that in the video, because there are many things, right? So you may understand something, but you may miss some particular wording or some particular expression, something. So if you go through the lecture slides after watching the video, it's much easier to find things. From searchability, I think it's easier if you go through the lecture slides.
Yes.
And another thing again from the question, just need the clarity. It's that Kulber lubricant service offering. Asked to watch the lecture number week number 1, the lecture notes. So also it is mentioning here in the lecture also notes. So
Yes, I think you can do either, because this Kluber lubricants is discussed 2-3 times in the whole course. So it's
yeah.
there in the week 1 also, it's there in week 5 also. I think it's discussed once in week 2 or something also. So you can go through any. I mean, if
I
she's
can also-
mentioning week 1 lecture 3, probably because it's much clearer there, or it's mentioned very explicitly there. It's possible. Yeah, just sorry, give me one moment. Okay. Anything else in the assignment?
Can you
Week 5 assignment I can't discuss.
not assignment, can you explain the eco-ethical sustainability parts, like little bit more clearer with improve employment and all those things?
Okay. Anybody else? Anything else?
Can I get one example from each of the product service? Like an example, I know I went through the lecture, it's just confusing in the end when I turn back and be like trying to distinguish the 3. So one example means I can grasp faster.
Okay, all right. Anybody else? Any other questions? Okay, no more questions. Okay. So we come to week 5 content now. So I'll answer all your questions. Let me first just introduce the concept a little bit, because I can't just jump right in. So have all of you, by the way, watched all the videos?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, great. So what is the need for a product service system? Why do we need a product service system? Why don't we just use products or just services? Don't worry about what is there in the course material or what is there in the assignment and all that right now. Just answer me very simple question.
From that example, what I have seen in that lubricant, it's even though the production is reduced, because the product and service there, the customer satisfaction will be higher, and you can give better satisfaction and better result.
Okay. Anybody else?
Madam, one thing in a product service system, because the ownership of ensuring the maintenance and end of life cycle is taken care of by the vendor, so the vendor will ensure the sustainability by, if at all, by reusing or by ensuring that the product conforms to green. Actually, the ownership of sustainability is moved to the vendor, and who utilizes it rather than the customer.
Okay, that can be one of the options, because I'm saying only one of the options because it's not always true. Product service system can be of many types. So if at all the product service system is one in which the maintenance is by contract taken care of by the producer, then in that case, yes, it is possible that it is more in their interests to make the product more sustainable. Any other answer?
It's basically 3 type of system. One is
No, I'm not
product.
asking 3. No. Don't give me the verbatim thing from the slides and the lecture videos. I'm just asking very common sense question. That's why I said don't tell me things that are there in the slides or in the assignments. I'm just asking from a very common sense perspective,
If you
beyond
don't
what is just there in the course that is written
don't
in.
have that product service, like it will be difficult for the customer. Like if I am buying something, I'm not getting kind of any kind of service from the company. Like I will deny to buy that product, because what will happen the next day if it will get damaged or any problems arise? I don't have any support. So
Right.
it's not good for the customers basically.
Yes, great. But I wanted to hear from other people also. That's correct. Anyone else wants to explain or wants to add to whatever has been added? Because this is a very fundamental question. If you don't understand this properly, it will be difficult to understand sustainability. I've not talked about sustainability so far. I'm only asking, why do we need product service systems at all? Why not just the happy place of buying a product and going home?
To
No, I
reduce
want somebody else to answer, please. Only two people are
Okay.
answering. Yeah. I will take your answer also. I'm not stopping you, but I just want to make sure that everyone has understood that, at least the people who have joined the class. Danyashri and Kunal, what do you understand from product service system? Why do we need it?
Ma'am, I have not started the week 5 actually.
Oh, you've not reached week 5. Okay, all
Yeah.
right. Danyashri,
I'm still like in the starting stage. I just feel like someone is taking a huge risk, and for the customer, it will be less risky. I still don't understand the positive aspect of it yet.
okay. So Kunal, have you gone through week 1 content? It's there in week 1 also,
Yes, ma'am.
actually. So it's there in week 1. She has introduced the concept of product service system in week 1 also. Did you go through that part?
Yes, ma'am.
So just from that part, because in week 5 we just expand it into a whole lot more detail. So just from that week 1 part, what do you understand from a product service system?
Ma'am, so what I understood was ki, it is basically a system where we are trying to integrate the product with its after use life cycle also. So which will in turn make the uh, how do I put it? Ki, matlab it will make it easier for the producer also. So like if he's producing something which is not sustainable or which is bringing him back a lot of what you can say maintenance issues. So if that is solved in the manufacturing or the production layer, so that could be one part of it. And for the customer side of it, having a great system in place will in in turn bring the customer back to your service, because it all the system is integrated.
Okay, I'm not sure I follow everything you said, but okay, as long as you have understood it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just share my screen. So a product service system is not very complicated thing. It's basically just combination of a product and a service. And we see it everywhere around us. We don't need to go to, Kluber Paints to understand what is a product service system. And this is just a comic from Dilbert, but I think it explains the sentiment very well. So in this case, like this is a typical corporate meeting in the cartoon. They're saying that it's our goal, which is to ship 1 million units in this quarter. And Dilbert is saying that, does our goal at all involve making customers also happy? And then, of course, the manager is saying, we're talking about our goals, not their goals. They're two totally different things. So that kind of tells you what the incentives or the goals of corporations or producers generally are. And if you study any economics at all, you will know that they are two very different things. The producer's goals and the consumer's goals are two completely different, often very opposite things, right? Now, a product service system is something in which there can be ways of aligning the two goals. I'm not saying that they will automatically You're getting an echo? Okay, hang on. Let me log out from here. Yeah, I think the echo will go now. So a product service system is a way for, you know, bringing the two goals closer together. It doesn't automatically align. It's not that a product service system will automatically, make the producers and consumers align or something like that. But a product service system makes it possible, makes the two goals the same. Understand? So for a producer, what is their goal? Maximize revenue. It's never a very, again, it's not a very complicated thing. They may have other goals like, oh, we want to be sustainable, or we want to, do good to the world. We want to make the world more equitable, blah, blah, blah. All these are goals. But as long as you're a business, your primary goal is always to make revenue, right? For a producer. If you're making sustainable products, you want to make sustainable products. But again, coming back to the 3 pillars of sustainability, without economic viability, it's useless, right? No product will survive in the market. And for a consumer, the consumer will always want things to be more affordable, for things to be more, have a longer life. You don't want to buy again, going back to the cup example, you don't want to buy a cup and have it break in just 5 days. Same thing for a laptop. So that's why I was saying that to understand a PSS or a product service system, you don't need to go to just Kluber Paints. I don't know why Kluber Paints has been done to that in this entire literature of product service system. No matter which book, which document, which research paper you go to, everybody wants to talk about Kluber Paints. I don't know why. It's not very complicated. When you buy a laptop, does it come with a service warranty or not? Yes, right? Most laptops do. You have some sort of a warranty on it, and they provide some sort of 1 year free warranty or something like that. If some part is not working properly or some part breaks, they come and replace it, right? If your keyboard stops working within that warranty period, they come and replace your keyboard. Or if you're having some other issue, they will fix it for you for free, right? In the warranty period. And after the warranty also, you can continue. They will give you the service, but they will charge you something for it. So that is an example of a product service system, right? Does that make sense so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Is it sounding a bit simpler?
Yes.
If you buy a cycle, I don't know if any of you have bought a cycle, but if you buy something like a cycle, generally the cycle guy will again give you like 1 month or 6 months, whatever number of months of free servicing for the cycle. Anything goes wrong, he will fix it. Any problem with some part, he will replace it. He will, fill air in your cycle for free. Things like that. Some add-on services they will give. Now, it is important to understand that although we have this whole social equity, blah, blah, blah parts to it, a product service system doesn't necessarily have to be socially equitable. It can be inequitable also. It is just that equity part is easier to build into the fabric of a product service system. So these are some basic things which I wanted to clarify before we go into the details and nitty-gritties of all that. Product service system doesn't automatically become sustainable. It doesn't automatically become socially equitable. It doesn't automatically become, equal opportunity system or something like that. But in a product, because you have very limited say on what happens to the product after you sell it, it's less easy. It's more difficult. It's much more complicated to build all these values into a product alone. In a product service, because there is much longer component which involves a lot more people, and you have the capacity to impact entire communities, entire societies. It's much more easy to build all these components of design into the product service system. Now, for example, now this definition I've put over here is the UNEP definition, which I think is a little bit easier to understand compared with all the other definitions in all the research papers, because somehow research papers are not really the best place to find definition. It make everything sound more complicated than it needs to be. So this is basically just saying that you're shifting the business focus from designing and selling physical products only to selling a system of products and services which are jointly capable of fulfilling specific client demands. Right? This is, I think, it's a very good summary of what is a product service system. Now, again, if you buy a smart watch, for example, and the smartwatch is very buggy, right? Like there's a bug in it, it doesn't record your workout properly, or if it kind of glitches in between, it doesn't, some functions are not working properly, or some statistics are not showing properly. Can you do something about it? You can't do anything about it, right? Like, I mean, I'm talking about a very real scenario because this happens, I think, with a lot of people with a lot of smartwatches, because not all smartwatches are very well designed as yet, or even if the watch is designed well, the app isn't very well designed. Now, it is an example of a product service system because you're giving the smartwatch and you're giving the app, but it is not yet addressing the whole gamut of user needs, right? You can't actually do anything if other than giving user feedback and appealing to the developer, and they may or may not fix the problem for months, years, whatever. So there are ways for a product service system to be unsustainable and to not fulfill all its goals also. That's what I'm trying to tell you. But if the producer, if the manufacturer wants, they can solve all the user needs much more easily, much more readily. And that is in their business need. Because every time you're solving a user need, firstly, the user has more incentive to buy from you, because they feel like you're actually understanding their user needs. That's what all interaction design is all about. And secondly, they can charge you for different services, and they make money from it. And if more people see, in the end, it may be like, that whole million products versus say 10,000 products example. Now, say, suppose you're going on selling a lot of products in a very short time, right? You're just selling, like, say, suppose you're selling 250,000 product in just 1 month or something like that. But very soon people will realize that your product doesn't function very well. It's not very good. Then will you be able to sustain that 250,000? You will not be able to sustain it, and your revenue will eventually fall off over a period of time because people don't like your product, or your product is not fulfilling all their needs, and they may realize after using it for some time that it's not very good. So Amazon is filled with products with 1-star, 2-star reviews because people find out after some time that the product is not good, or they read the reviews of other consumers that this thing breaks after 1 week of usage or something, and they won't buy it. So yeah, on the contrary, if you're giving a product service system, you're taking care of that part of usage also, right? That's the main key difference between product and a product service system, or a good product service system. After buying the product, when you're using the product, whatever issues you have or you don't have, or which may come up, just even knowing that those issues will be taken care of is a big plus, right? That's why when we are buying very expensive electronics items, we almost always want to buy them with warranty, because we don't know if something will go wrong, right? So in the Amazon products example, like, if you know that something is coming, some printer, something is coming with extended warranty, you would always prefer that, even if it costs a little bit more. And that is where the companies can also make profit. So the whole idea, philosophy behind a product service system is that the incentive of the companies, the producers, which is to make profit, is aligned with the incentives of the users, which is to have better product life cycle, which is to have long lasting products which function well. Both the goals are aligned because they give you that thing as a service, or at least some of those things as a service, and you pay for that service in one way or another. And because you're giving them that service, they stick to you, they buy more from you, right? If it's a subscription based product, there are certain software and stuff, which are subscription based, like say MS Office, for example. It is reducing the economic burden on the person because you're only paying like 150 rupees a month for the original MS Office offering, along with all its, updates, feature updates, everything. And so, people just keep renewing the subscriptions year after year for decades. Sometimes there are many offices which have been using Office for decades, right? So they become your loyal consumers, they're your loyal customers. So that way, both the consumers are happy and the producers are happy. So that is the whole idea. Now, in what way you do this, you create a bouquet of products and services, and how you make those things match together, and how you use that matching to solve a user need is where design comes in. Right? Designers also have to do something in this whole thing. It's not just that you throw in some service in some product and that's it. That doesn't work. Like the smartwatch example, like you just make some app and you tell the user to link it with some smartwatch. Doesn't work because the smartwatch may not function very well with that particular app. Then there is no fix for it. You're not really doing anything which the consumer actually wants, right? So, but you can, is the point. So, did you guys get it so far? Does it make sense so far? Then I'll go into the more complicated parts of it.
Yeah.
Others? Dhaneshri? She there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you understood what is the plus of a PSS system so far. You were saying, right? You don't understand what's the value or
Yes,
the
ma'am.
positive thing of it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, one of the concerns when it comes to sustainability in a product is often that, of course, sustainability is again going back to our 3 pillars of sustainability. Going back to our 3 pillars of sustainability, there is the environmental component, the economic component, and the social component. So now, of course, the social component is much harder to achieve because it's a very complex thing, involving a lot of people, communities, their culture, their politics, their beliefs, their, ways of doing things. So, a certain community may be very set in the way they do certain things, and you can't come and change that with just one product system. So it's a much harder problem to solve for anybody, not just, for us. But it is solvable. In a product service system, it is solvable because you can make incremental changes. You can make small changes in the lifestyles of people, in the consumer's lifestyle, in the producer lifestyle. And in, like, if you're designing for the base of the pyramid, which was one of the design approaches we studied in earlier in one of the weeks. If you're designing for the base of the pyramid is where you have the underprivileged people, right? So the base of the pyramid can be the producer or they can be the consumer. So or they can be both. So for example, like, if you're kind of involving a certain village, certain community in manufacturing part and maintenance part of a product, then the base of the pyramid becomes the producer, right? And you're also selling the product to the same community, right? They've only manufactured it, or some people, as in their village, have manufactured it, and then you are giving it to them to sell. So they are selling it, they are buying it. The whole community is involved in that whole exercise. There's an example actually of this. I will discuss it in a few minutes. So in that particular example, you're kind of empowering that entire community, and you're designing for the base of the pyramid as the producer and as the consumer, both. So then in that case, you're like economically empowering them. If you're making something like a solar lamp, then you are environmentally also empowering them, and socially, because you're involving all sections of the society into the PSS, and you're giving them a way to sort of, earn the livelihood, earn dignity and respect in the society. So you're kind of solving the whole social part of sustainability also. right? So then in that case, what you have is a PSS, a product service system, which, touches upon all the three aspects of sustainability. Now, this is something again I've taken from the UNEP uh, booklet on PSS systems. This gives you an example of, an alternative to what you have in a normal product versus what you can do as a product service system for that same product. Now, the key difference between a product and a product service system is that a product is basically just trying to sell you a particular solution for a particular problem, right? Or a particular, which solves, say, a particular problem. But a PSS solves a particular need of a user or a certain requirement. So, whereas then, a product is just driven by making the idea of making a sale, a PSS is driven by the idea of solving a need the client or the consumer has. And on the face of it, they may both sound very similar, but they're essentially kind of different because the need or the requirement can be solved in many ways, not just the product. Just the product is only one of the ways in which that need can be solved, right? Now, this is the example. The traditional is where you have, say, the washing machine, right? So the typical traditional example is the washing machine as a product, okay? And where you sort of, collect clothes and you wash clothes and you buy the washing machine in a house or in a hotel, because hotels have washing machines also. Now, the first column is that, that traditional system, washing machine. And the second and third columns are the columns for, where you have tried to solve the need, the requirement of the buyers in some alternative way, as a product service system, not as a product alone. So, for example, like in the first scenario, you have something like where the consumer rents the washing machine to clean clothes in a house or a hotel. Now, you have to understand it's a rent, meaning you are taking the washing machine sort of home and you're paying some amount per month, maybe, for using the washing machine. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, even in the metropolitan cities in India, there are some startups, some companies which do these type of things where they sort of rent you appliances, or they rent you furniture, like living room furniture, bedroom furniture, whatever type of furniture, and you just pay a monthly sum based on your package, like 7,000 rupees for just living room furniture, or maybe 15,000 or 12,000 or something if you are paying furniture for your bedroom also. So the cost is, of course, much lower because just one couch will cost something like 15,000 rupees, right? Whereas here you're paying a rent, which is considerably lower than the price of the product itself. So that's like, one of the ways of solving the consumer need. And the third column, the second option in this particular case is where the client buys a service from a company to clean clothes. So, you're just buying the service. You're not buying the washing machine. You're not renting the washing machine. You're just paying somebody like a laundry to clean the clothes. Right now, there's another third option also, which is kind of similar to this one, which is like a laundromat. In India, we don't have laundromats, but in other countries, like in Western countries, in the US, they have the concept of a laundromat, which is basically a laundromat is just, do you guys know what is a laundromat?
Yes, ma'am. In a place where they have a lot of washing machines, they can just put the penny and
Yes,
wash it.
yes.
And
Yeah, so the charges are also not that high. So you can, whenever you need to, because everybody may also not need to use it that often. Like maybe some people need to do laundry like once in a week. Some people do it maybe twice a week. depending on whenever you need to do, you just need to take your laundry with you to the laundromat. You put in the pennies, and you put in your own detergent, and you put the thing in the washing machine, and then you just take it home with you, basically. That's it. So you're just, going there using the product and the service. So in this third column, they're only giving you the service, right? Like a laundry, where you go, you give your clothes to the laundry, they wash it, clean it, dry it, everything, and they give you the clean clothes back. So you're only buying the service. In a laundromat, you're buying both. Different from renting a washing machine, because in that case, you're taking the washing machine home with you. In a laundromat, you're not doing that. You're just going to the place which has all these washing machines. You just pay a certain amount, $2 or whatever amount, for one load of laundry, and you wash your clothes and dry them, and you take them back with you. So you're paying for the product and the service together at the same time, right? So you can consider that maybe as a third option in this. Now they're comparing all the three, all options, or two options in this particular case, against the traditional one on different metrics. Now in the second row, they talk about how, if you buy a washing machine, the client owns, uses, and stores the washing machine, right? Stores is also an important criteria, because sometimes people may live in very small houses. So even if they buy a washing machine, even if they think they may want to buy a washing machine, they have no space to keep it. Where will you keep it? If you're living in, say, a house which has only one room or two rooms, and there's no separate service area in your house or something, then even if you can buy a washing machine, you may not want to buy it because you don't have space to keep such a big washing machine, right? So in the traditional one, you are responsible for maintaining it, for cleaning the washing machine, for paying for it, of course, when you buy it, for using it, and for storing it. In the second one, the company has the ownership. So, they are the ones responsible for maintenance, and the client is only responsible for using and quality of the cleaning, but they also need to store it. They've missed mentioning that in this column, but since you are renting it, you are the one who's storing it, right? Then the next option, where you give it to the laundry, the company is the one which owns, maintains, and stores all the cleaning equipment and the washing machine. They are the ones who are responsible for everything, entirety, maintaining the quality of the cleaning, maintaining the product itself, maintaining the availability of the product. All that is entirely their responsibility. In the next option, which I was talking about, like say the laundromat, again, the company owns everything. They are the ones responsible for maintaining the quality of cleaning, for servicing the washing machines, for storing them, all of that. The only difference is, of course, if you break it, then they will charge you a fine for it. You can't, put bricks in the washing machine or something like that. In fact, there is an episode, I don't know if you guys watch Seinfeld, but there is an episode in Seinfeld in which they are unhappy with the laundromat owner, the laundry owner. He also has a laundromat. And they try to put stones in a washing machine. They try to do that, and then, of course, they get caught. So you can't do something like that in a laundromat, because that is like, you're coming with the express purpose of destroying the machine. So you can't do. But apart from that, all the regular maintenance and things like that, that is the company's responsibility. Now, the last few are again very sort of self-explained. Like, the initial investment is very high if you buy a washing machine. The second and third, the investment or the amount the user pays is much lesser, right? Even if you're renting the washing machine, the costs are at least spread over time. So, if you may be able to, save money over a long period of time and then buy a washing machine, or you can just pay a rent and, start using the washing machine now. So that is also a factor. So that is there. Say, suppose if your salary is only 15,000, you may not want to buy a washing machine which costs 15,000, right? You may have to save for a long time to buy a washing machine which costs 15,000 rupees. 15,000 also actually less for a washing machine. It costs like maybe 21,000 or something, right? So a person whose salary is only 25,000 will not want to buy a washing machine, but they can pay, say, 3,000, 5,000 rent per month and start using the washing machine in their own homes, right? And in the third column, of course, it is even cheaper because you are just paying for whatever amount of laundry you need done. You take your clothes to the laundry, you pay 100, 200, 300 rupees per, load of the laundry. And that's it. You're not spending like thousands of bucks, right? Similar thing in a laundromat. You just take one load of laundry. It costs $2, $3. I don't know what it's costs right now, but you pay per load of laundry and you wash your clothes and you come home and the costs are very low. Anybody can do it. Like, even if you have a very low salary, you can still afford something like $2, $3, right? That's why they're so popular in the West. I don't know why in India it never really took off, but anyway. In the last row, they discuss the disposal. Sorry, I'm coughing a lot. Just give me a moment. I'll just take the throat relaxer and come back. Okay. So, in the last row, we talk about the disposal, right? So in the first case, in the traditional case, of course, the buyer is responsible for, making sure that the machine is sort of disposed of in the most eco-friendly way and all that. In the second scenario, sorry, Mhm. My cat is sleeping on my laptop, so if something snaps, you should know that's what it is. So in the second scenario, it's the company which is responsible for, making sure that it is reused, recycled, all of that, because they are the ones who are renting the washing machine to you. So you don't have any kind of ownership or responsibility about what happens to it at its end of life. That's the company's responsibility. So as somebody was saying earlier, that the onus of making the whole product more sustainable now rests on the company, which is renting the washing machine. In the third case, again, it's the company's ownership, because you're not at all involved with the product at all. You're only buying the service from them. And in the case of the laundromat, what will it be? Anybody wants to attempt an answer?
Service.
Sorry?
Did you ask the laundromat? It is same as
Yeah.
the last scenario, the laundry, the case. We are paying at an service, the company.
No, and my question is, so the disposal part will be whose responsibility? What happens to the disposal and end of life in the laundromat?
Company who is
Company,
owning
right?
laundry. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So the company which is owning the laundromat is the company which owns all the washing machines also. So the user, the consumer is only, you are involved with the product also in a laundromat. I wanted to give that example, to compare it with the laundry, because in a laundry, you're only buying the service. In a laundromat, you are buying a subscription to the product and the service, right? That's the difference. And that's why, in their table, they've not included laundromat, but I wanted to discuss it because it's a good example. So in a laundromat, of course, again, it's the company which has to take care of the end of life cycle of the washing machines. So as you can see in all of these parameters, the PSS systems have better options for firstly being more sustainable, because if the company which is making the washing machine is made responsible for its end of life also, then they have better incentive for making it more sustainable, right? Secondly, it's more equitable solution, which is the social component you were talking about. So in the second, the PSS options, all the PSS options we discussed, the rent option, the pay-per-use laundry option, the pay-per-use laundromat option. In all of these options, the cost of the product versus cost of PSS, if you compare, you'll see the PSS costs are much lower. So it is accessible to a lot more people. Like not everybody can afford to buy a washing machine, but most people will be able to afford, a laundromat with just $2, $3 per wash, right? So that is what equity, or that is what making it socially equitable means. And it's accessible to all. Like, it's not like only some people, if you are only from a particular section of the society, you can buy it. No, it's open to all. Nobody can be stopped from there. So it's generally accessible to everybody. Right? And it brings people from all different communities together. Right? Then on the environmental front, we already discussed end of life, but also the maintenance part and all that. It's again taken care of the company. And so they can, when you have to take care of the servicing of the machine, you will make sure that it is also designed better, right? It is designed to last longer. Because if you're selling it to a consumer, once you sell the washing machine, that's it. Your job is done. You don't care about how long the machine lasts because, every 5 years, 7 years, the designs change. So if your washing machine breaks down after 3-4 years also, the company doesn't really lose that much, right? Because after 5 years, anyways, the company washing machine designs and models and all change. So, your user feedback doesn't really count for much. So, but if you have a laundromat or if you have a laundry or if you're renting the washing machines, you will want to maximize the life of the product, right? You will want the product to last as long as possible because in this case, you're not selling the product. You're selling a combination of product and service, different combinations of products and services. So in that case, you will definitely want the product to last very long. And when you're elongating the life of a product or a product service system, then you're obviously reducing consumption, you're reducing production. So you are, having lesser requirement for raw materials, lesser industrial processes, lesser emissions, lesser blah, blah, lesser everything, right? And then you are responsible for maintenance. So you'll also maintain it in such a way that it lasts for long instead of lasting for just 3 years, 4 years or something, right? So that is another way in which the PSS model is more sustainable compared with just the product model. So, so far, is this making sense? So I just wanted to give a very simple example first to explain product versus a product service system so that, we have something to kind of go with. Like we kind of, we're not talking in thin air about what is a product. We're not talking about something so complicated that nobody understands it, what is the thing we're talking about. So this is like a very everyday example which I wanted to take, which is, relatable. So are at least some of your questions answered with this example? So Dhaneshri wanted me to take more examples. Kunal has not finished week 5, and I think Shajina wanted me to explain the social equity part. So at least is this part clear so far to some extent?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So Shajina, your examples I will come to, but at least the whole idea behind what is the way in which you can make it more socially equitable, is that part clearer to you?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So, okay. Okay, so going back to what is a PSS. So in a PSS, basically, you have a product and you have one or a whole combination of services along with the product. So like in the laptop example, the product is your laptop and the like whatever 2-year, 3-year warranty you get is the service they give you. In the washing machine example, all the 3 PSS models had some service associated with them. In the renting, like you rent it, and then the serviceability, the maintainability, that was the service they were giving along with the product. In the laundry option, of course, you weren't explicitly buying the maintainability, but it was included implicitly because the company was anyways responsible for maintaining the product, and the service you were buying was the laundered clothes. In the third option, the laundromat, you're buying the combination, a subscription or whatever you want to call it, pay-per-use type of thing for the product. And implicitly, again, you're also kind of buying the service because they are the ones which are maintaining the washing machine. So all these are like different services which the seller is selling to you, even if it is not directly being sold as a service. Like they're not charging you separately for maintaining a washing machine, right? It's not. Sometimes it may be mentioned that okay, this, in the breakdown of cost, they may tell you that this much is for this much is for that, but a lot of times they may not tell you. So, but that part is not, that expense is not borne by the user directly, but that expense is borne by the producer. So, that expense is still something you're still kind of paying for in a sense, because without that, I mean, product will not function, right? So you're buying a combination of product and services still. Now, if we come to sustainable, like, product service systems, this is the part which I think somebody was talking about in the beginning. There are 3 types of SPSs, which kind of favor eco-efficiency a lot more. The main difference between these 3 is, as is given here, that in a product, of course, the services sort of are adding more value to the product. It's not that you're just buying the service. Like in the laundry example, you're buying just the service. You don't really have anything to do with the product itself. You're just buying the service. Sorry, just give me I mean, yeah. So in the product oriented, the main offering is still the product. You're just adding like add-on services on top of it, right? So that is sort of like the rent example can be an example of a product oriented SPSS in which you're just renting the washing machine, right? Because you're basically renting the product and you're adding some value to that product by also giving maintenance and all that along with it. So like the laptop example can be product oriented SPSS. The main offering is still your laptop and you're giving some add-on services like warranty and things. The second is the use oriented SPSS, in which you're providing enabling platforms for customers. So the laundromat is more of a use oriented SPSS, right? Where the platform can be like the laundromat. It's one platform where you have put the product and the service, and the customers can come to the platform and use the product and service. So what it's doing is it's actually solving the consumer need by enabling them to use a certain product and service which is available at a particular place, or it could be a website, it could be a physical place, it could be anything. So it is an enabling platform, right? The third is the result oriented SPSS, in which the services are actually providing the final results for customer, and the interaction of the customer with the product itself is very minimal. So the laundry is an example of a result oriented SPSS, right? In the laundry, what is happening? Just giving dirty clothes to them, to the laundry. They're washing, cleaning, drying, and they're giving you back your dry clothes. So the result you eventually want out of the whole washing machine experience and all that is that you want clean and dry clothes, right? So you're getting the result directly in a laundry. So a laundry can be thought of as a result oriented SPSS, because in that you're not going and touching the washing machine also. You're literally just giving them a laundry bag filled with your laundry load, and the laundry is doing everything, and they're just giving a bag of clean and dry clothes, right? So now, do you understand the difference between these 3 based on the example I took? Yes, no, maybe.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I know nobody asked me this as a question per se, but I wasn't sure if this was clear to everybody. Like, because sometimes what happens is that Again, some of the products are very complicated. So, they may look like they could fit in multiple categories, right? Which is why I took that example of the laundry and the laundromat thing, because they're kind of like these three things become kind of simple and a bit obvious. So this is an example I think you have been given in the class also, the reverse simple. So can anybody explain what is reverse simple? Did you guys, okay, Kunal has not gone through it, but anybody else who's gone through it? Yeah.
They give the car for like something like a month, and the amount that they have to pay for that month will be equal to the amount that you will end up paying even if you have a car. Like in the starting, if you are spending in crores for or lakhs for a car, in this format you're only paying for that months, and little bit extra they'll take, like car fuel maintenance and insurance ka amount. So
Okay.
as of what, it will end up like you have a car, and they'll also
So,
maintain car.
okay. So see, you've not explained the most important part of it. They don't sell cars. They
Yes,
just give you the subscription to using the car. And the most important aspect of this particular car is that it's an electric car, but it does not run on batteries. It runs on hydrogen fuel. So they are not using the normal fuels and everything at all. It's very sustainable, as in it has no zero emissions. And because it is not running on, the traditional electric charging stations and all, they've removed that element of lack of, because see, in electric cars, the main issue with the only issue with electric cars is that the electricity you use may come from non-sustainable sources. So if you're using coal powered electricity, we have not been able to eliminate that aspect of unsustainability in electric cars. Other than that, electric cars are very good. They don't create any sound, like very low sound. They don't give out any emissions. Electric cars are already sustainable, and these hydrogen powered cars, they have an internal mechanism in which the hydrogen fuel is used to generate electricity and power up the car. The car is owned by Reverse Simple, the company itself, and they have decided they are not going to sell cars at all. They will only give you a subscription. So let me just play a very short video. Just one. Sorry, not this one. No, not this one. Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
So this is a video by Reverse Simple. I don't think it has any sound, but if it does, you can see. So this is a short promo video of the car.
I think you have not shared the sound.
No, there is no sound in the video. I played it a few times. There was no sound in it. I don't know why they didn't put any sound, but you can imagine there is some sound. It's just a promo video they use on their website. So I'm guessing maybe that's why they haven't put any sound in it. So it's just a 1 minute video, but it kind of explains the the product offering, right? So now taking this as an example, what do you think? What type of a PSS is this?
It is user page.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yes, it is user because we are renting it. Anything that can be rented is coming under that category.
Okay. Kunal?
Yes, ma'am. I think it's user-based also only.
Yeah, so it's actually not user
I
based, it's use based.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, user, everything is based on the user. So that is not in any controversy anywhere. It's use based because you are using the product which they are giving to you, and they are doing everything. They are taking care of all the other costs like insurance and road tax and whatever other costs are there. You're only buying a subscription from them. It's a subscription based service, and maintenance and all that is taken care of by the company itself. So it's also, it'll be helpful if you guys go and check out the websites of some of these products which we have taken as examples, because on the websites they've explained their own products very nicely. So it kind of makes it much clearer if you go to the website itself. They have like investors and all that, and it's a very, very popular service because you have to sign up for the subscription, and you have to join a wait list because not everybody can get it right away, basically. So the total cost of ownership is what they say is comparable with any other car, which is what I think Dhanyashi was trying to explain, that if you compare the subscription model and the way people use it and all those things and the amount of costs which it covers and everything, and if you do a comparison with a normal traditional car or something, then their total cost of ownership, it's a technical term, the total cost of ownership of this reverse simple is very comparable with the normal car which you would buy of the same kind of similar kind of specs or something like that. So in that sense, like, you're not paying anything extra, because one of the bigger concerns which people have in these pay-per-use model, or there's not pay-per-use, actually it's a subscription model, but in the renting model, people generally end up paying a whole lot more than they would if they had saved that much money per month and tried to buy the product itself. So for example, like in the furniture case, they charge you something like 7,000, 10,000 per month for renting furniture. Now, over a period of 1 year, if you save 10,000 per month, you can buy your own furniture actually, right? Like, if you're, I don't know if you guys are familiar with any of these services. There are startups which offer these kind of offerings. The main issue it solves is that, if you don't have, say, 1 lakh rupees with you lump sum right now to spend on furnishing an empty house, then you can get started with just 10,000 rupees a month. So your per month costs are lowered. But in the long run, over a period of 1 year or 2 years, everybody will automatically feel like, I'm spending so much in renting this furniture. I can just save that much money per month and buy my own furniture, right? But that's what they're trying to. So what you were trying to explain was this. I think you probably couldn't word it very well, but that is what they would. That is what they have explained on their website. That's what total cost of ownership is. So in reverse simple thing, like whatever subscription price you're paying per month, if you add it up over its life cycle or whatever, I don't know how exactly they do this calculation, but if you add up those life cycle costs, basically, it comes to the same as owning a car. So it's comparable. You're not paying extra above and beyond what you would pay per month for a car. So this is this is a use-oriented PSS in which, you can see how they have built sustainability into it now, because they have taken care of all the other costs. They have tried to make it very equitable. So obviously your per month prices are very low. Like, you're not paying like a huge amount which you would pay for a car. If it's reduced to per month, then of course it's going to be much lower. It's accessible to everyone, and it is, of course, it is designed to be sustainable. So that is the whole thing. In this example, also, the same car could have been not sustainable. Like how you have all these Ola and Uber, which now allow you to rent a car also, right? They allow you renting of cars, not as a monthly thing, but maybe per hour or 12-hour thing or something like that. But they're not sustainable in terms of emissions or things like that, right? It's just sustainable in the sense that it's better than buying a car, but it's not that the product is designed to be sustainable. It's not, right? So I will discuss a very simple and similar example to reverse simple. We are out of time now, but there are two other examples I wanted to discuss. Actually, we just spent a lot of time in assignments, so I never got to it. One is Blue Smart cabs. I think I briefly discussed it earlier, but I would like to go into it a bit more detail. It's very similar to reverse simple. But they're also cabs, so it's even more suited for Indian scenarios. And the other is a solar panel, which is a very, very good design, which explains the social aspect of it, which you were asking, Nisha, the social equitability and all that. So what I'll do is I'll upload the handouts for today's class in that shared folder by end of today. So if you want, you can read it after the class. I couldn't discuss it in the class, but you can at least go through it. And then in the beginning of the next class, I will take up these two examples, which explains. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't want to keep going on for another half an hour. I'm anyways coughing, and it's also like been 2 hours since you guys have been on. So it will also help you, I think, to absorb the ideas a little bit better. And then I think we can just take 20 minutes or something in the beginning of the next class to discuss first these two examples, which will explain these aspects, which are the questions you guys had. And then we can take up assignment 4, assignment 5, whatever questions you asked me in assignment 4, and then assignment 5 due date will be over. So then we can discuss assignment 5. So any other questions you have from assignment 4, please email me along with your working and your thing, so I can compare it with my thing and I can check where you are wrong. Okay, you got my email, right? It's there in the chat box.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I think that's it then. We can end the class here and we'll meet again next week. Okay, thank you everyone for joining.
Ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.